You'll love it there, Blake. Just me and you and the nature. Dad, I've been waiting for this trip for the past month. I didn't even tell Mom. She keeps on saying I'm not old enough and this and that. Of course you're old enough. Just don't go with your mom, that's it. Guess where she's been taking me to? The library, to volunteer. Apparently, it will strengthen our bond. Yeah, looks like we're here. And when you're back, be sure to tell your mom how much fun you're having with me. We might be able to bargain for 3 weeks next time. Blake McCullen gazed at the cabin house up ahead. He and his father had been on this road trip for nearly 5 hours to get here in Paxson from Anchorage, Alaska. His parents were divorced, and they had settled on split custody for the past year now. Blake was staying 2 weeks out of the month with his mother and the other 2 with his father. This week, his father had told him they would go out to his Grandpa McCullen's old cabin. They would go ice fishing and camp out in the chilly weather, and Blake was more than excited. He rushed out of the car to help his father unload the equipment from the trunk. You didn't need much to go ice fishing. An auger for cutting through the ice, fishing rods, and a whole bucket of slimy, gooey chum smells delicious, at least to the fisher will. His father took out a huge box from the trunk. What is that, Dad? Tools and gadgets we'll need for camping? You'll be able to walk to the lakeside, right? We're not using any sort of technology on this trip. No cars, no phones, no tablets. We're keeping it all natural. Of course I can. Dad, I got it all planned out. Lake Summit is a 25-minute walk north from the cabin, and the mountain ranges are another half an hour from there. Alright then, let's get started. After dropping off their luggage and taking their essentials, the father and son walked out to the lakeside and set up their tent at around 5 p.m. I used to come to this exact spot with your grandpa. Back then, we only had those old flashlights with us, which lasted only a few hours, so we used to light a lantern through the night. Blake took out the lantern from the box. How do you light this thing? You have to pour fuel, like gasoline or kerosene, then you light it with a match. After setting up their camp, they drilled a hole into the ice and lowered down their fishing lines. There's coho and chinook salmon, rainbow trout, even Arctic char in these waters. Impressive, champ. Looks like you did a lot of research before coming here. I hope you looked up how to gut and clean a fish. What? No, I didn't. I thought you knew how to. I was just playing with you, but we're gonna put a lot of elbow grease into that thing and spice that baby up with lemon zest, garlic, and basil. Oh yeah, just like Mom makes it. It took much longer than they expected, but hours later they finally reeled in their first catch, amazed to see a large chinook salmon flopping around on the hook. You always hold a fish with one hand behind the gill plate and the other hand behind its belly. Now come on, you will take out the hook. Me? Really? Blake excitedly took out his multi-tool and pulled out the pliers. The father and son removed the hook and got to work cleaning up and gutting the fish. His father lit a fire while Blake attempted to cut up the fish. However, he was failing badly. His father let out a laugh and took out his pocket knife. Here, you can keep my one, but don't try anything dangerous, alright? Oh man, this one's a spear point knife from BII. I can keep this? Dad, you're the best. I'll sharpen your one again when we get home. Blake shaved down 2 sticks while his father seasoned the fish. Together they pierced it through and set it onto the fire, rotating it every now and then until it was nice and crisp. It was around 10 that they hurried into their tents when the snow started to pour. They both eagerly bit into their steaming fish right off the stick in the chilly weather when they finally realized, Dad, you didn't put salt! That's not the worst part. I forgot to bring the salt. After a poorly seasoned meal, despite all the seasoning, the father and son lay in their tents talking about life, listening to the winds that chimed outside until they fell asleep. The next morning, it was still snowing heavily. They decided to head back to the cabin, freshen up, and huddle by the fireplace with some sweet cocoa. Blake was having a great time in this remote, one-room mountainside cabin, practically in the middle of nowhere. The nearest gas station was miles away, and the stores were an hour's drive. There wasn't anything in the cabin apart from a creaky old bed, a table, and old pots and pans. In the afternoon, they sat down with some board games when there was a sudden knock on the door. "Who is it, Dad? Out here?" Blake's father curiously opened the door to find a young woman speckled in snow. The locks of her hair had frozen stiff, her cheeks rosy red, and her lips were shivering in the cold. "Mister, could you please help me out? My car broke down on the highway and I don't have any network on my phone. I had to leave the car behind miles back. I thought I would find a gas station, but there is nothing around here." Sure. Come in. It's freezing out here." Harvey escorted the woman inside. "Why don't you have a cup of coffee? It would help warm you up, because it's going to be one long wait. We're having issues with the network here as well. The weather has been pretty bad." No, that's all right. This fire is doing just fine. It's really cozy in here." "I'm Harvey McCullen. You are?" "I'm Dana. And who's this?" she said, smiling at Blake. "This is my son." "Your son? Wow, I would have never guessed. You look so young." "So what is your name, mister?" Blake awkwardly looked at the woman and straightened up, but he didn't reply to her. "Who said I wasn't? His name is Blake," Harvey chuckled. "We came here on vacation for a few days. You're actually lucky. If this was yesterday, you would have had to walk a few more miles to get to the nearest gas station." "Sometimes fate brings people together," Dana said, looking into Harvey's eyes. Blake stared at his father smile at the woman. He didn't like where this was going. "So, is your wife also here?" "My ex-wife. I'm single. It's just me and my son here." "Oh, I see. What about you?" "Am I single?" Dana smirked. Blake grumpily packed his board game and sat back holding his cheeks, listening to his father speak, or rather flirt with the woman. "If you don't mind me asking, but what I meant to say was if you're alone, where were you headed to?" "Well, I am single, and I was driving back to the city from my hometown, but I don't know what I'm going to do now." "Don't worry, I can drop you off, but as for the car, I don't think we'll be able to arrange a towing service here till morning." "That's not good news. Are there any motels around here? Some place I can lodge?" "You're welcome to stay the night here if you like." No. Blake prayed that this woman would just leave. He didn't like her, and he definitely didn't like seeing her father fancy her either. All of a sudden, this vacation seemed like it would get spoiled. "Thank you so much." "Where will she stay? There's no room here, Dad." "Looks like your son is right. There's no space here." "Blake, we'll sit it out, drink coffee, play board games, and pass the night." "It won't be an issue, Dana. How could I let you go out in this cold? It's gotten quite dark as is." "Thank you so much. Don't worry, Blake. We'll have a fun time together." Blake gave the woman a fierce look, absolutely annoyed by her presence. Why did she have to come here? She could have just stayed in her stupid car and freeze for all he cared. He sat there to the corner of the room, irritated to his core. Every time he heard the woman laugh, it made him cringe. But soon after sitting with his head on his knees, Blake dozed off. But about an hour later, when he woke up startled, he found the cabin strangely silent. It was empty. Where was his father? Where was that annoying woman? Blake suddenly became anxious. Where did they both go? There was a treehouse behind the cabin. Had they gone there together to be alone? Blake held his head, closing his eyes shut as horrible thoughts crossed his mind. He hoped nothing like that happened. However, suspicious as he was, Blake grabbed his jacket and went out. His heart started to beat faster, seeing shadows inside the treehouse. As he climbed up the ladder, he began to hear noises. A little nervous, wondering His father would get angry at him if he caught him eavesdropping and snooping around. Nevertheless, Blake took a deep breath and peeped his head up into the treehouse. Blake suddenly froze. His hands started to tremble. His throat became dry as he quickly looked away. What did he just see? His father, laying on the floor, that woman hunched over him, clawing his body with her long nails, and feasting on him. Blake was horrified. What was he going to do? In a panic, he jumped from the ladder, falling to the ground. Through the pain, he ran around the cabin towards the main road. He had to get help. He had to get to someone. He at least had to get away. The winds were so strong out, the snow felt like piercing pins on his skin as he ran down the road. Every 10 minutes or so, Blake stopped to catch his breath, only to keep running again. He was starting to lose hope in the harsh weather when he spotted a car. He ran to it and started tapping on the driver's window. "Mister, please, I need help." But he got no reply. Instead, the door slightly opened up. It hadn't been locked. Blake suddenly remembered the woman had said her car broke down. Was this her car? Blake pulled the door open, surprised to see a woman sitting inside. "Miss, please can you drive me to the bus stand, or to a police station, or anywhere where I can make a call?" The woman didn't speak. She didn't even turn around. Blake went to shake her shoulder when her head tilted to the side. He widened his eyes, thundered to see this woman. She wasn't alive. She was dead. And half of her body was in a horrible condition. But what made Blake paralyzed in fear was the fact that he recognized her. It was that same woman that had come to the cabin, Dana. Blake sprinted down the road. He was so petrified he couldn't even look back. He ran and ran until he couldn't take the cold nor the wind. His body was starting to fail him. Was there any help nearby? Was there any help nearby? Just a few more minutes. He just had to push through a few more minutes. He's breathing. Pick the boy up. Bring him inside, quickly. Blake woke up inside a store. He was sitting on a chair, wrapped in blankets, as a woman sat there rubbing his hands. A man walked out with a steaming cup of milk. Where am I?" Blake said. "Don't worry. You're safe. We found you unconscious on the highway. What's your name? What happened to you?" Blake anxiously told the couple what had happened the previous night, how he had fled from his home, the horror he witnessed. "My father. I left him there. I need to get help." No one seemed to believe anything he said. However, they arranged a few men to return in search for Blake's father. It was on the way that they discovered what the boy had said was true. They found the woman in the car, half eaten. They continued on to the cabin and also found his father in a similar condition. Looks like it was a bear attack. There are a lot of grizzlies out here by the mountains. No, it wasn't a bear. It was a girl. It looked just like her, I swear. I saw her with my own eyes. It was a girl. Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.